Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Bhalabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Grantara Shimam Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shishiguru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonon, Chapter 89, Krishna and Arjuna retrieves a Brahmana's sons. Text number 10 and 11. Punihi sahalokamam lokapalam chamatkatam padodakena bhavatas tirtanam tirtakarina puniha sahalokamam lokapalam chamatkatam padodakena bhavatas tirthanam tirtakarina punihi sahalokamam lokapalans chamatkatam padodakena bhavatas tirtanam tirtakarina. Please chant. Punahi sahalokamam lokapalans chamatkatam padodakena bhavatas tirtanam tirtakarina. Punihi sahalokam lokapalam chamatkatam padodakena bhavatas tirtanam tirtakarina punihi sahalokam lokapalam chamatkatam padodakena bhavatas tirtanam tirtakarina punihi sahalokamam lokapalam chamatkatam padodakena bhavatas tirtanam tirtakarina punihi sahalokamam lokapalam chamatkatam padodakena bhavatas tirtanam tirtakarina Adyaham Bhagavan Lakshmya Asan Ekantabhajanam Vatsyati Urasi Me Bhutir Bhavapada Hatam Hasa Punihi, please purify Saha along with Lokam, my planet, Mam, me, Loka, of various planets, Palam, the rulers, Cha and Matgatam, who are devoted to me, Pada, which has washed the feet, Udakena, by the water, Bhavata, of your good self, Tirthanam, of holy places of pilgrimage, Tirtha, their sacredness, Karina, which creates translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Quote, please purify me, my realm, and the realms of the universal rulers devoted to me by giving us the water that has washed your feet. This holy water is indeed what makes all places of pilgrimage sacred. Today, my Lord, I have become the exclusive shelter of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. She will consent to reside on my chest because your food has rid it of sins. End of quote. Purport. Continuing his comments, Srila Prabhupada said, quote, the so-called Brahmanas of Kali Yuga are sometimes very proud that a great Brahmana like Bhrigu Muni could touch the chest of Lord Vishnu with his foot. But in fact, when Bhrigu Muni kicked the chest of Lord Vishnu, it was the greatest offense, although Lord Vishnu, being greatly magnanimous, did not take it very seriously. End of quote. Some editions of Srimad Bhagavatam contain the following verse between text 11 and 12. And Srila Prabhupada also included in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his summary study of the 10th canto. Atiba komalau tata charanau te mahamune iti uktva vipracharanau mardayan swena panina. Quote, The Lord said to the Brahmana Bhrigu, "My dear sir, O great sage, your feet are indeed very tender." Saying this, Lord Vishnu began to massaging the Brahmana's feet with his own hands. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitangena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Romapada Swamin Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashatyade Shatarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. This is what Srila Jiva Goswami comments on this verse. With the aim of getting Bhrigu to forgive him so that he could be peaceful, Vishnu offered excessive praise. Purify me, Vaikuntha, along with the 14 planetary systems, Saha Lokam, as well as Brahma, Shiva, and others present in me, Madgatam. This means the living entities are within his belly as the universal form, or that they are all his amsas. Sit down for a moment. I will wash your feet and put the water on my head. Instead of Bhavata, sometimes Bhagavan, O sage worthy of worship, is seen. But I have committed a great offense, and I am now full of regret. How can I sit here in embarrassment? So this is what possibly Bhrigu is saying. But you have been most merciful to me. No, I'm sorry. No. This is what Lord Vishnu is saying still. But I have committed a great offense, and now I'm full of regret. How can I sit here in embarrassment? But you have been most merciful to me by kicking me on the chest. I have now become the supreme shelter of Lakshmi. You're capable of doing this, O sage endowed with all powers, Bhagavan. Now Lakshmi will reside on my chest always, since it had been purified by your food. This means that up to that time she did not reside on the sons of Vaikuntha's chest. Quite possibly, no? I find this pastime, as I hear it again, not easy to understand. And so I'm going to rely a lot on reading from our Vaishnava Acharyas and from Srila Prabhupada. Some of the things that we see in here is Lord Vishnu taking this position in Vaikuntha. Now, my understanding of Vaikuntha is that it's a place where the full opulence of the Lord is manifested. So it's a place that automatically, as you enter, there's a sense of awe and reverence. And here we see the whole thing just completely turned upside down. Because first here's Bhrigu Muni who enters Vaikuntha first. How is he entering Vaikuntha? We see this sometimes happens, that certain powerful sages, although not described as Vaishnavas, they're able to enter Vaikuntha. How is that able to enter Vaikuntha? Vaikuntha is only to be entered by those who are Vaishnavas, who are pure Vaishnavas, right? That's understanding. But here's instances in which personalities enter Vaikuntha and they're not qualified as Vaishnavas. In the case of Durvasa Muni, he entered Vaikuntha. He entered Vaikuntha full of anxiety, trying to save himself from the Sudarshan chakra. Vaikuntha is a place where there is no anxiety. How he entered there? That's a question. And then now we have Bhrigu Muni, who comes with the purpose of testing the Lord. Testing. That in itself is offensive already. We know the other instance, and not definitely gross as this, of Lord Brahma thinking he wanted to test Krishna by stealing the cowherd boys and the calf. And that was considered a great offense, which Lord Brahma was very, he feel very regretful about it. And he offered this, one of the most beautiful set of prayers that we can find, in the Bhagavatam. So Bhrigu enters, Bhrigu Muni enters Vaikuntha. So that in itself, okay, how did they enter Vaikuntha? Well, they can only enter by the Lord's will. So the Lord allows that. And the Lord can allow anything. He's a supreme personality. So a question is then, why did he allow that? Or what was the purpose of the Lord? What is the purpose? Everything that the Lord does have a great, great purpose. And in general, these activities of the Supreme Lord are meant to be heard and chanted by conditioned souls, and being absorbed by the conditioned soul, absorbed in hearing and chanting these beautiful pastimes, in order to not only purify oneself, but to revive the relationship that we have with the Lord. So there's a purpose. There's a purpose that the Lord has. Now, it takes this form, and the whole concept of Vaikuntha, just on these particular pastimes, it goes all upside down. And I guess we have to pay attention through the narration of this pastime to try to understand that purpose. There's two things that are very much highlighted, at least how I'm listening to the pastime. One is the Supreme Lord relationship to the Brahmanas. And the other one is his understanding of goodness. So of Sattva Gun. Gun means a mode of nature. So it's material goodness and spiritual goodness. So these things has been touched, and is something that it will become more and more clear as the pastime goes, and we hear not only the pastime but also the explanations that are given within our disciplic succession of these verses. So the Lord here, Lord Vishnu, in Vaikuntha, where he displays his Aishwarya Baba, his opulence, full opulence. He is here taking a extreme humble position, like a regular king or regular human being or a personality. That's not the pastime of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu never takes the position of a human being. When he does that is when he descends into an avatar, or he descends, and plays the pastime of being, a king like Lord Rama or like Krishna in Dwarka, Vasudev, like that. And then he worshipped the Brahmanas. We hear about that. Krishna washing the feet of Sudama Brahmana and drinking the water and sprinkling the water, all that procedure. We never hear that about Lord Vishnu. What to speak of Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha? Actually, Lord Vishnu never leaves Vaikuntha. You know? So when the demigods goes to see Lord Vishnu, they go to this Vaikuntha planet opposed within the material world that is within an island in the ocean of milk in the pole star. That island is a pose of Vaikuntha. It's a transcendental Vaikuntha planet within the material world. And the demigods goes not to the island, but on the shore of the ocean of milk, and from there they pray. And in general, they don't see the Lord. They cannot see the Lord. They hear. And they hear, and even then, sometimes they have to use Lord Brahma, who can actually hear the Lord and then being able to tell them what the Lord instruction is. So Lord Vishnu doesn't do those type of things. But here he's doing it. He's like, how? And how is, that this is, Lord Vishnu is not by himself in Vaikuntha. It say here that, he came directly and into the, yesterday Krishna Archana was mentioning to that, into his rooms, his private place in which he's lying down with Goddess Lakshmi. It's like entering in someone's bedroom, like that. And we know that that's not a simple thing. When the four Kumaras, when entering Vaikuntha, they have to go through different doors. And those doors have guards. And in the first door, there was the big guards, Jai and Vijay, and say, who are you? Why are you coming here naked? So it's not a simple thing. It is explained that the Vaikuntha planets have these 7 different doors and layers before even getting into the spaces, of the quarters of the Lord. And there he is. He comes and not even saying Hare Krishna, knock, knock. No, he just goes straight and kick the Lord in the chest in front of Lakshmi Devi. That is horrifying just to think. Is horrifying. So just to think about it, imagine, if you're a resident of Vaikuntha and you hear something like that. It's horrifying. But the reaction of the Lord is quite wonderful. So, back to the question, okay. Bhrigu Muni enter with the purpose of testing the Lord, which is in itself not correct. And proceed to test the Lord in this most gross manner, which is also horrifying. At this point, according to the narration, he is not considered a Vaishnava. He becomes a Vaishnava after this contact. That's very also inconceivable. But most inconceivable is this reaction of the Lord. It's almost, as you hear it, just from a condition perspective, like my condition perspective. Is the Lord being sarcastic here? By saying, let me place the water and you can purify me and purify Vaikuntha. He's asking, that your feet, the feet of a Brahmana, will purify not only me, but Vaikuntha and all the other planets and all the other devotees who follow me. They will be purified by that water that washed your feet. He addressed Bhrigu Muni as my Lord. So it's quite puzzling. So we have to pay attention to the purpose as we go through. But let's start to analyze at least, this point that has been raised so far. The Lord's relationship with Brahmanas. We know this, we recite this prayer often. It's part of our worship. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hichecha Jagatitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. That the Lord, Govinda, Krishna, He is known to me Brahmanya Devaya, who is the Lord whose Brahmanas are, the Lord who is, how you put it, the correct, Brahmanas are very dear to the Lord. The Brahmanas are very dear to the Lord. Very dear. So, the Brahmanas are dear to the Lord. What does this mean? Well, this is something that was clarified, this position, the relationship, on how the Lord see the Brahmanas. And in the instructions that King Rishabdev gave to his sons, the 100 sons of Rishabdev, King Rishabdev, headed by Bharat, Prince Bharat, who later became Bharat Maharaj. This is described in the 5th canto, I believe. And in that instruction, Maharaj Rishabdev was asked by his sons, who is the Supreme Lord and how we can recognize a devotee of the Lord. And within those questions, the Lord answered. The first, he answered, I am the Supreme Lord. And then he explains. And then he starts to say these instructions. I'm going to read it for you, so we go straight to that. Because it's very important. He established a whole hierarchy on the whole creation up to himself. And then he established the Brahmanas as the highest, the Lord himself. And why did he do that? Well, we're going to understand by the instructions of Maharaj Rishabdev to his sons, which was an instruction to the world, especially how to rule the world. Because in the instructions of Maharaj Rishabdev, for leaders, if you are going to become a leader, any type of leader, meaning if you be a king, a demigod, a teacher, a guru, a father or a mother, you have, if you have this position of responsibility, the responsibility is that you have to be able to deliver your dependents from the cycle of birth and death. So for leaders, it is important to understand that the position, and he instructed, uh, once you establish that, he tells his sons, um, after explaining also who is a devotee, he tells his son that the most important thing for them to understand is that he have to serve the devotees of the Lord, the pure devotees, and the brahmanas. Serve the Lord, his devotees, and the brahmanas. Like that. So this is an understanding that we in human society have to have very clear, that the position of a brahmana, the position of a Vaishnava, and the position of the Supreme Lord. So, okay, so this is what Maharaj Rishabdev tells his sons. Oh, do I have it? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so after he explained his position of the, as a Supreme Lord, he said, "My dear boys, the 100 Psalms, you are all born of my heart, which is the seat of all spiritual qualities. Therefore, you should not be like materialistic and envious men. You should accept your eldest brother, Bharat, who is exalted in devotional service. If you engage yourself in Bharat's service, your service to him would include my service, and you will rule the citizens automatically. Of the two energies manifest, spiritual and dull matter, beings possessing living force, vegetable, grass, trees, and plants are superior to dull matter, stone, earth, etc. Superior to non-moving plants and vegetables are worms and snakes, which can move. Superior to worms and snakes are animals that have developed intelligence. Superior to animals are human beings, and superior to human beings are ghosts, because they have no material bodies. Superior to ghosts are the Gandharvas, and superior to them are the Siddhas. Superior to the Siddhas are the Kinnaras, and superior to them are the Asuras. Superior to the Asuras are the demigods. And of the demigods, Indra, the king of heaven, is supreme. Superior to Indra are the direct sons of Lord Brahma, sons like King Daksha. And supreme among Brahma's sons is Lord Shiva. Since Lord Shiva is the son of Lord Brahma, Brahma is considered superior. But Brahma is also subordinate to me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And listen to this. Because I am inclined to the Brahmanas are the best of all. All respectful Brahmanas. Now, King Rishabdev, when he was instructed his son, there were sages, Brahmanas, all the citizens of the kingdom were listening to him. So he's addressing the Brahmanas now. As far as I'm concerned, no one is equal or superior to the Brahmanas in this world. I do not find anyone comparable to them When people know my motive after performing rituals according to the Vedic principles, they offer food to me with faith and love through the mouth of a Brahmana. When food is thus offered unto me, I eat it with full satisfaction. Indeed, I derive more pleasure from food offered in that way than from food offered in the sacrificial fire. The Vedas are my eternal transcendental sound incarnation. Therefore, the Vedas are Sabda Brahma. In this world, the Brahmana thoroughly study all the Vedas, and because they assimilate the Vedic conclusions, they are also to be considered the Vedas personified. The Brahmanas are situated in the supreme transcendental mode of nature, Sattvaguna. Because of this, they are fixed in mind control, Sama, sense control, Dhamma, and truthfulness, Satya. They describe the Vedas in their original sense, and out of mercy, Anugraha, they preach the purpose of the Vedas to all conditioned souls. They practice penance, tapasya, and tolerate titiksha, and they realize the position of the living entity and the Supreme Lord, Anubhava. These are the 8 qualifications of Brahmanas. Therefore, among all living entities, no one is superior to the Brahmanas. I am fully opulent, almighty, and superior to Lord Brahma and Indra, the king of heavenly planets, of the heavenly planets. I'm also the bestower of all happiness obtained in the heavenly kingdom and by liberation. Nonetheless, the Brahmanas do not seek material comforts from me. They are very pure and do not want to possess anything. They simply engage in my devotional service. What is the need of their asking for material benefits from anyone else? My dear sons, you should not envy any living entity, be he moving or not moving, knowing that I'm situated in them. You should respect all of them at every moment. In this way, you offer respects to me. Anyway, he goes on. So, the position of the Brahmanas as desired by the Lord, as designed by the Lord, for the purpose of benefiting, of organizing this material world in such a way that there's a structure that facilitates the purification of conditioned souls. So the Brahmanas, they actually have a very important service in this structure of the Lord. So the point was made, one of the points that we heard is that the Lord, one of his purposes to establish in society the importance of Brahminical culture. So that's one thing. We're going to hear more about it, but one of the things that we hear is that yes, the Brahmanas represent is the embodiment of Sattvaguna, the mode of goodness. So this is the other part that I'd like to touch in the next, few minutes. This understanding of Sattvaguna, because we hear about Sattvaguna, but we also hear this term that has been described in the pastimes and the explanations. We hear the term Suddha Sattva, and there's another term that is called Vishuddha Sattva. So this Sattva, goodness, could be sattva gun, or one of the modes of nature, or material goodness. But also we have this Suddha Sattva, which is pure goodness. And then we have Vishuddha Sattva, which is like when you have this Vishuddha, V is even more, so greater Sattva, greater goodness, supremely pure goodness. Let's say it that way. Like when Krishna say, Param Vijayate, Vijay. So Jaya means glories. Vijaya means super glories or supreme glories. So Vishuddha. So try to understand that. And I have to admit that also the understanding of these concepts and these differences, especially of Suddha Sattva and Vishuddha Sattva, is a little over my head. So I have to, read a little bit about it. And this have to do with the position of the whole spiritual nature and essence of the Supreme Lord and the living entity. And that really is personally is over my head. One of the understanding of Vishuddha Sattva, we understand it as goodness, no? But the term Sattva means existence. It's translated as existence. And when we talk about this term Vishuddha Sattva, is equated to the manifestation of the Supreme Lord. And I'm going to read a little bit about it to clarify this, Especially this comes from Lord Shiva too, which is important because Lord Shiva is within this pastime and he was the one who was tested too. And also, trying to understand also this puzzling description in which, we see externally that appears that Lord Shiva is also influenced by the modes of passion, that he's not pure goodness, right? He's not in pure goodness. The test is who's going to be in pure goodness. And Lord Shiva failed the test. So means that he's not. Lord Brahma failed the test. And that's puzzling too. So here's Lord Shiva instructing Sati about this very subject of Vishuddha Sattva and Srila Prabhupada's purpose. So I'm going to read that and we finish with that. And then we have to continue as we hear this pastime to try to really understand. We have to really pay attention because it's not, oh, la la la, that we can put it in a comic book like they do, of Bhrigu Muni coming and kick Vishnu and, it's all like anecdotal in one sense. No, it's very profound and very important message to understand. So this is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 3, text number 23, Lord Shiva instructing Sati. The verse reads like this: Satwan Vishuddhan Vasudeva Shabditan Yat Iyate Tatra Puman Apavrita Satwe Chatashmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Hyadokshayo Me Namasa Vidiyate. So you hear the words Sattvan and Vishuddha Sattva, Vishuddha and Vasudev. Translation, Lord Shiva saying, I am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudev in pure Krishna consciousness. The term that is used here is Sattvan Vishuddham Vasudeva Shaktitam. So Lord Shiva is constantly situated performing devotional service to Lord Krishna, Vasudeva, in this position of Vishuddha Sattva, pure consciousness, pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness, in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, is revealed without any covering. So, the position of Vishuddha Sattva is a position in which the Lord becomes revealed. You can actually see Him interact. Like what is called this Premanjana Churito, with the eyes covered by the salve of love, of prema. Then you can see Yanshama Sundara Chintya Guna Swarupan. The Swarup of the Lord becomes manifest within your heart and in front of you too. So Prabhupada reads this and, pay attention because it's quite profound. The living entity is constitutionally pure. Asango Hyayam Purushaha. In the Vedic literature, it is said that the soul is always pure and uncontaminated by material attachment. The identification of the body with the soul is due to misunderstanding. As soon as one is fully Krishna conscious, it is to be understood that one is in his pure, original, constitutional position. This state of existence is called Suddha Sattva, which means that it is transcendental to the material qualities. Since Suddha Sattva existence is under the direct action of the internal potency, in this state, the activities of material consciousness stop. For example, when iron is put into a fire, it becomes warm, and when red hot, although it is iron, it acts like fire. Similarly, when copper is surcharged with electricity, its action as copper stops, and it acts as electricity. Bhagavad Gita 14:26 also confirmed that anyone who engaged in unadulterated devotional service to the Lord is at once elevated to the position of pure Brahman. Manchayo cha vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitya brahma bhujaya kalpate. Therefore, Suddha Sattva, as described in this verse, is the transcendental position, which is technically called Vasudeva. Vasudeva is also the name of the person from whom Krishna appears. This verse explains that the pure state is called Vasudeva, because in that state, Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealed without any covering. To execute unadulterated devotional service, therefore, one must follow the rules and regulations of devotional service without desire to gain material profit by fruited activities or mental speculation. In pure devotional service, one simply serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a matter of duty, without reason or without being impeded by material conditions. That is called Sudasattva or Vasudeva, because in that stage, the Supreme Person, Krishna, is revealed in the heart of the devotee. Srila Jiva Goswami has very nicely described this Vasudeva or Sudasattva in his Bhagavad Sandarbha. He explained that Astotara Sata 108 is added to the name of the spiritual master to indicate one who is situated in Sudasattva or in the transcendental state of Vasudeva. The word Vasudeva is also used for other purposes. For example, Vasudeva also means one who is everywhere or all-pervading. The sun is called Vasudeva Sabditam. The word Vasudeva may be utilized for different purpose, but whatever purpose we adopt, Vasudeva means the all-pervading or localized Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita 7:19, it is also stated, Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. Factual realization is to understand Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and surrender unto Him. Vasudeva, so I hope you making the differentiation when you say Vasudeva with a long A. Vasudeva means Krishna, and Vasudeva means the stage of Sudasattva. So short and long. So in Bhagavad Gita, okay, where are we here? Yes, factual realization is to understand Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and surrender unto Him. Vasudeva is the ground wherein Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealed. When one is free from the contamination of material nature and is situated in pure Krishna consciousness or in the Vasudeva state, Vasudeva, the Supreme Person, is revealed. This state is also called Kaivalya, which means pure consciousness. Jnanan Sattvikan Kaivalyam. When one is situated in pure transcendental knowledge, one is situated in Kaivalya. Therefore, Vasudeva also means Kaivalya, a word which is generally used by impersonalists. Impersonal Kaivalya is not the last stage of realization. In Krishna consciousness, Kaivalya, when one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then one is successful. In that pure state, by hearing and chanting, remembering, etc., because of the development of knowledge of the science of Krishna, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these activities are under the guidance of the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. Anyway, it continues very long. You can read it on yourself. But you get the idea of this state of Sudasattva. Now, it even get more complicated, the whole thing, when we start to understand the term Vishuddhasattva. And the state of Vishuddhasattva is for Krishna and Krishna's direct expansions. So, in the spiritual world, the form or the essence of the manifestation or the how you say, the the form and the Lord Himself is have this element of Visuddha Sattva. And His expansions that include His potencies, His internal potency, and direct devotees that are expansions of Him, direct expansions like um, Mother Yasoda, the gopis, cowherd boys. Those are all Visuddha Sattva. The living entities can only be, according to the Chaitanya Charitamrita, to Suddha Sattva. Now, please, that's up to what I can, grasp. It gets really deep into, the whole concept of, um, you know, understanding the how you say this is explaining the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and books that goes more into the the Siddha Swarup and all these things, and that really goes beyond my head. I don't even want to go into that. But one of the important aspects to understand is that there is a difference between material, the sattva guna and this Suddha Sattva. Suddha means pure, so pure goodness or pure existence. By the word Suddha, then, it implies that anything else that is not Suddha must be Asuddha or Abhisuddha, that it have to be impure. So sometimes we hear about this also when you use the word Suddha, is described as unalloyed. Unalloyed goodness is also described. Unalloyed means that it's not mixed, it's pure. So it implies that everything else is mixed. It's mixed with something, impurity. So the material goodness, it cannot be pure. It's a goodness that is not pure. Why is not pure? Because it's combined with the other modes of nature. There's no such a thing of pure goodness in the material world. When we talk about sattva gun, what we talk is the predominance, is explained, the predominance of goodness, but is not absent of the other modes. They're there. And this is explained in different parts of the scriptures. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18. He says, there is no being existent either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary system which is free from these three modes of born of material nature. Meaning that that these three modes are always there. Even if you're a demigod who is mostly in the mode of goodness, you're still going to be influence, there's still going to be the influence of some ignorance and some passion. But the predominance is moral goodness. And there's also a quote from the Devi Bhagavad Purana. This is Srila Jiva Goswami quoting this. This is Lord Brahma telling Narada, it is not possible to find only sattva or only rajas or only tamas anywhere. They are always mixed with each other, and thus they are said to be mutually dependent. So this is a reality. So one may assume, and this is something that is how the impersonalists approach this whole thing. Oh, I'm running late. The impersonalists, they make this calculation which is sensible. So if you have this sattva or mixed sattva or impure sattva, then you make it pure and then it becomes pure sattva. So you take sattva gun, make it pure, purify it, and then you get sattva, you get Suddha sattva, pure goodness. So the whole practice, the whole sadhana of impersonalists, we have to do with study of the Vedas and the practice of Astanga Yoga, is designed to purify yourself of unwanted things and then get to the pure state of goodness. So this is the whole idea. And they go up to this stage of Brahma Bhuta. They can go up to that, the stage of Brahma Bhuta, in which you become free. But that's not the end of it. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that in the stage of Brahma Bhuta is when you're able to start devotional service. You say, what is it? The verse, Brahma Bhuta prasannan mana sochati na kanchati samasarveshu bhuteshu nad bhaktin labate param. At that stage is when you start to perform pure devotional service. And then you can continue. So, from the perspective of devotional service, this position of pure existence, of pure Krishna consciousness that is described here by Lord Shiva, is not depending on the modes of nature. Is not depending on something to do here in the material world that you purify that. Is something that is a position in which the Lord will reveal himself. So it's descending, it's not ascending. And that's something to understand. Anyway, it can get really profound. And I think, like I say, I feel encouraged to actually hear with attention the rest of this pastime to try to understand in a much deeper manner this purpose of the Lord for this very puzzling pastime. Any comments or questions? With microphone. She has a question, and then you can ask.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the class. That's very, 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 very deep. But you said we have to understand the point, the purpose of why Gargamuni was allowed to kick Lord Vishnu in the chest. Now, you said the purpose of that was to purify the Brahmins and people in general?
No. That's well, I have to say that I don't understand fully the purpose. I'm trying to understand. I think that's the what thing. But for what I'm getting right now is that the Lord is establishing a principle that is very important to human society to understand. that brahmanas are very important, and so important that even the Lord, have this type of treatment or this type of relationship with brahmanas, that he takes, even the Lord in Vaikuntha takes as, humble position towards a brahmana. So what to speak of ourselves, you know? Now, yes, there's more to it because it's still puzzling to me a little bit. So I like to pay attention to the thing. But this is what I was saying about.
On. Okay, as usual, you and the Mataji give very advanced, amazing classes. I appreciate it. So, this might seem a little different, but why do they use the word pastimes? It could be the Lord's daily activities or his universal engagements, or because people would think pastimes is like you're just kind of hanging out doing frivolous, activities. So I was always wondering if there could be another word for pastimes, because people that are very new, and maybe some others, they may not even take what Krishna's doing outside of, what we think is spiritual as serious.
Yeah, it's in general, when we are teaching and discussing the glories of the Lord, um, we, present it as it's a whole thing. Is establishing first that there's a supreme being, and that supreme being is the source of everything. So we establish, there's a premise. There's a premise of transcendental knowledge behind the whole thing. So transcendental knowledge means that there's a understanding who's God, understanding who we are, and what is the relationship, our relationship with that supreme being. So from that perspective, then we have to understand, and we have to be able to communicate that we don't try to understand the activities of the Lord from the perspective of our condition or our material experience. Transcendental knowledge means that these activities are divine. So, what to speak of pastimes when we say birth, right? Birth of the Lord. So it means like all that stuff, the blood is the whole thing. No. These activities are divine. So when we're able to understand that, in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells that when we're able to understand the divinity of his activities, and you can put an adjective or a verb, so it could be his pastime, it could be his birth, it could be his work, his activities, everything, you can put anything in front of the divine. The word that is used in Sanskrit is divyam. So, Jamma Karma Chame Divyam. Evan Yoveti Tattvataha. When we understand the divinity of the activities of the Lord, then we're ready to go back home, back to God. And so when I tell you that, then we go. The divinity means these few things. We have to understand the divinity of the Lord's form, meaning that we have to understand the difference between his form and a material form. So his form, his name, so rupa, nama, guna, his qualities, and lila. his pastimes. So all these four things are divine, and we have to understand it like that. Difference and material thing. Do a one short one because it's now time to finish.
Oh, I personally feel, of course, everything that the Lord is doing is pure and holy. But I've had associates that studied this in philosophy, and somehow they pick and choose, and they keep putting it in a more worldly mindset. So that's why I thought the word was a little,
Yeah.
unique. So, and when you were speaking of the doors, so those doors that you're going through, um, but the first would be the least intense, and as you get closer to the final door, would that be the most intense? The ones when you're going through those layers?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I would think maybe.
Maybe, yeah, maybe, but I'm not sure. I can answer that one. I know when you visit the temple, there's a temple that it is in India that depict the the whole Vaikunta, which is the temple in Sri Rangam, and you have to go through the seven. There's seven outer walls with a door, and then you go to one, you go to the next one, you go to the next one, and at the end you come to this golden chamber, and that's where and Lord Ranganath is lying on the bed of Ananta Shesha and with Lakshmi. It's beautiful. Let's finish. We talk after we talk because I want the devotees to run, and we can talk. Thank you very much. Grantara Shriman Bhagavatam ki jai.